r/AskReddit by Redmond ETS. What is the most out of touch thing an older person has told you? My dad visited me in the restaurant I was working in at the moment during peak hours and said, "Just tell your boss you're taking your break now and sit with me." Yeah, that's not how it works. My dad has come to visit me, uninvited, at every job I've ever had. From gas station cashier to administrative assistant. When I would have to interrupt his conversation to do my job, he would say with an annoyed tone, "Okay, I see you're busy." Yes, that's what we do at work, Dad. From a parent. When we die, you can just fly over here and move in for 6 months while you figure out what to do with all of our stuff. Sure, and what income will I have after I need to quit my job to do this? My dad. At Christmas. If I need, I can sell my pain meds on the black market and make a fortune. Where is this black market? eBay. Fuck's sake. My grandmother didn't like female cats and dogs because they don't have good morals and want sex all the time. My mother said to me just a few days ago that a down payment for a house isn't that hard to save up for. I told her I barely have $5,000 saved up so far. She insisted that that is more than enough. I had to stress that 20% down has been the norm in our area since the 2008 crash. She hasn't bought property since the 90s. This was in 1992. I had just turned 11. My parents always took my sister and me to the polling place with them when they'd vote in elections, and that's what we were doing that morning. My dad had stopped to vote on the way to drop my sister and me off at school. As we're leaving the polling place, for some reason, I can't remember the details on how this happened, my dad ends up getting into a conversation with an older man near the exit. Somehow it came up that he had brought us to the polls so that we would know about voting when we were old enough, and was about to drop us off at school. This old man said, "But they're both girls. They don't need to vote, and shouldn't that one be done with school now?" He meant me. My dad was basically like, "Excuse me, what?" And this dude informed him that girls only went to school until the 6th grade. Dad handled it fine. He was just like, "None of that has been the case for a long time. I've gotta take my daughters to school now. Have a nice day." And sort of ushered us out. Out of all the out of touch things said to me by older people over the years, mostly just the usual walk in, hand them your resume, and don't walk out until the manager gives you a job kind of thing. But nothing compared to the man in the polling place who thought I should be done in school and that it was frivolous to teach me about voting due to my sex. I remember that old man every time I vote, and I've never missed an election. Edit pertaining to common replies. Yes, could have been dementia. I honestly have no way of knowing that, but it's a possibility. Dude was likely in his 70s if I had to guess. Yes, very backwards for the 90s. The place I grew up is very rural. It's decades behind lots of places, to be honest. No, he wasn't Middle Eastern, but the dad correcting him is. A woman told me, "I always see you reading books. You'll never get a man if you're too smart. They don't like that sort of thing." Was she Gaston? No one cross-dresses like Gaston. Young people have no pride left. Why do they think it's okay to still live with their parents at 20? The average age to move out of a parent's home in the UK is 35. Because there's a rental crisis and a housing crisis, especially in non-English countries, partially because the retired English keep buying second homes in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Wages have barely increased, but rent and mortgages have increased extreme amounts, and this is because of their generation. Why older people don't understand this concept is beyond me. Just walk in and hand them a resume. They will hire you on the spot. If that doesn't work, offer to work for free to get your foot in the door. My great grandmother told me how to give myself a knitting needle abortion. She thought that was important information for a 7-year-old to know. People were kinder and less judgmental in my day. We didn't have any of this identity politics crap. They literally called in the military because black kids were going to school. Anything my dad says about money. His mom was a widow and remarried an eventually wealthy man who helped my dad bankroll his own business, which my dad turned into a considerable net worth. He thinks everyone has access to startup capital because it happened to him. He thinks everyone should be at his level financially. He thinks everyone pays cash for everything. He is so out of touch with reality because it stopped affecting him for so long, and he just doesn't understand why everyone doesn't do what he did. Sorry, long post. A newlywed couple I'm related to was out taking wedding pictures in a little town square with their entire bridal party. We're a big Asian family, and it's reflected in who's in the bridal party aside from one of the groomsmen who served in the armed forces with the groom. An older white woman and her husband saw them and made their way to the venue, a hall that opened up to the main street. She came up to my uncle and me, who were ushering people in, and said, "Are you the wedding for the bridal party taking pictures outside?" We both said yes, and she went on, "Oh, everyone looks so nice, but one of the groomsmen is white." I didn't think anything of her comment the first time and explained how he's a close friend who served with the groom. She decided to double down and said again, "But he's white." Again, I said, "Well, yes, but he's a close friend of the groom. But he's white." Which prompted my uncle with, "Well, we asked for another minority at the groomsmen's store, but all they had left were white boys." During this whole exchange, the husband of the lady was walking ahead, her not really catching what was going on. He turned back to see what his wife was doing, pushed her along, and apologized to my uncle and I for what had just happened. The whole experience left me dumbfounded. Like, what is this, the 50s? Are we still not allowed to have interracial friendships? My grandma tells me to gain weight so that my hips can better support childbirth. Like every time she sees me I hear this, including when I was fighting cervical cancer. My only purpose in her eyes is to make babies, I guess. When you're feeling better. Dad, I'm disabled because my body is made from your and mom's shitty broken DNA. I didn't get any help, he said, as he walked into a building with his dad's name on it. Edit. He embezzled all of grandpa's money and bankrupted the company and went to jail, so I can't work there. Also, he says he did it because God told him to and it was the right thing to do, and I should thank him for setting such a good example, as 9-year-old me watched my dad get taken away in handcuffs for a crime he absolutely committed. My grandpa spent a good 15 minutes on Christmas Day having a rant about female commentators in sport. About how they just don't shut up, as though it's not literally their job to talk about football or something. My retired parents still say unless you go to college and get a bachelor's degree you'll end up digging ditches. I never went to college and make more than both of them did. They'll die on that hill. My mother encouraged a 16-year-old me with grades by saying, "Do you want to succeed in life or become a factory worker?" I've become the mediator between my boomer mom and millennial daughter. When my mom was complaining that my daughter never takes her advice on parenting, I asked her if she took the advice her older relatives offered when she was raising me. Her answer, without any irony, was, "But their advice didn't apply because times were different by then. You just answered your own question, Ma." My dad told me if I voted for Obama I was a traitor to my country, and he said it with little tears and rage in his eyes. I didn't say a word to him in response. I just shook my head sadly and left. Just go there and ask for a job. My grandma, who grew up in World War II and lived through communism, often says lots of out of touch stuff, like, "Buy yourself some tomatoes, winter is coming and they will no longer sell them. Change your t-shirt or you will get arrested. You want to visit your mom in Austria? Better leave now, you will probably wait on the border for a long time." She still has a hard time understanding that Schengen zone exists. "Here, take this," hands me €1, "and go buy yourself some beer and snacks." She is like a window to the past, and often reminds me how shitty life was here for a better part of 20th century. In Southern California, my aunt, who heard we still rent, was like, "You don't have to buy a new home, just get yourself a $200 grand starter home and fix it up." I was like, starter homes that need fixing up in LA are like $1.2 million starting. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.